Hi viewers, I am your Dr. Kola. So previously we have seen Piaget's cognitive theory of development. Today we will be seeing another important theory, Vygotsky theory of development. You see, everybody knows Vygotsky because of his socio-cultural perspective of cognitive development. It is also called as cultural historical perspective or development. Okay, he says that cognitive development, particularly the mental process, as well as reasoning and other cognitive abilities develop based upon the social culture uh, environment around him. Okay, he means to say that cognitive ability of a child develops because of social and cultural interaction within the society. So he says that most of the times adult will be helping. We see many times parents trying to help the children with their works. So based upon that, his experiences or his ability of the child and the support of the teacher or the support of the parent, he goes for doing lot of things. So this is what we see happening in the child cognitive development. So when we see the theory of Vygotsky's cognitive development, he says that children develop lot of things or cognitive abilities through formal and informal conversations. So formal conservation means it's like classroom conservations where we will be trying to teach a lot of things. Informal conversations where he happens to come across certain situations where he learns. So child learns lot of things through formal experiences as well as informal experiences. Okay. For example, when we go for teaching formal things, for example, when we teach certain ideas, for example, we see transport system at school. This is a formal way of teaching that there will be red signal, green signal, and all this thing. But when it comes to real situation on the road, when he sees that one, he applies that. So formal and informal situations. And you see, thought and language develops in child basing upon the environment surrounding him, particularly parents, teachers, as well as what we mean to say that peer group and society helps in language development. See, language reflects the style of the society. And you see, cognitive development is a complex mental process which happens in the child when he's young through his social interactions. What we say that whatever the experiences he gets through his social interactions, he tries to okay, internalize and as well as imitate the thought processes and put that in action whenever required and develop his own identity, develop his own style of working. So it is very important that coming across certain things, influencing your cognitive ability, that again internalization, put in thought process and whenever it is required using it. So it is nothing but thought process or cognitive abilities, seeing, listening or hearing uh, and putting it into thought process and again application, right? And besides that, cognitive development takes place two ways: active development or actual development. It takes place when child performs his own performs activity based upon his own capabilities. This is what we call it as actual development. Probable development. Probable development means that the development which happens or the activities that are taken up by the child with the support of a parent or with the support of an adult, okay, parent or teacher, we call it as a probable development. So actual development, probable development. See, that is why what we call it as zone of proximal development. What we call zone of proximal development as the capability or the capacity of a child to do certain things and the child's ability to do some more other things based upon the experiences provided by the any other individual. So we see that there is a gap, what we call zone of proximal development, or what we can say that zone of proximal development as certain things which a child can not perform, can yet not do, but can do with the help of others. So clearly, zone of proximal development is that the capacities or the capabilities or the works which a child can not yet do but can perform with the help of support of others. It is called zone of proximal development. Clear? There will be a question on zone of proximal development. Okay. Don't think that what do you mean by ZPT. Uh, He'll be asking what is ZPT. Okay, not abbreviation of ZPT. You see the support provided by the parent or the elder. Okay, what we call it as scaffolding. 2 points to be remembered regarding zone of proximal development. Vygotsky's theory is that zone of proximal development, scaffolding, and what we call the theory of Vygotsky. Okay, what we call it is a sociocultural cognitive development theory, right? And also he says that sports also promote cognitive development of the children, particularly because of activities. And you see, sports promote cooperative and collaboration learning. And besides that, we see that Vygotsky focuses on language development also. He says that child undergoes social speech, that is at the age of 2, he tries to talk to others, right? What we call it as social speech. And you see, uh, when we come to another thing, private speech, this is silent inner speech will be at the age of 7, right? In which the expressions are internalized and automatically it develops cognitive process, influences the cognitive process. We said social speech, private speech, and lastly, silent inner speech will be at the age of 7. According to Vygotsky, silent inner speech increases as private speech decreases. Okay, so what we call that private speech plays a central role in child's cognitive development. So we had 3 speeches: social speech, private speech, and silent inner speech. And what to say that cognitive development happens in the private speech. Why? Because child speaks to see himself, that is the age of 3 years, in which each expression is internalized. So private speech helps him to develop cognitive development. And coming to what we say that education applications or classroom application. For example, there will be a question in your examination how you will be applying Vygotsky's social cultural cognitive development theory. Definitely, classroom application we see collaborative and cooperative learning. As previously we told that child with the support of adult or any other person will be increasing his capacities, or we can say collaborative learning, cooperative learning, or peer learning, which with the help of which there's increase in cognition. And you see, development can be enhanced. Already every child undergoes certain development, which can be enhanced through different methods like project method and exploration methods. Okay, project method comes under Vygotsky's cognitive development theory, and students should be given an opportunity to construct their own experience, their own knowledge. So, what we say that Vygotsky theory says that child-centric education is required. Child should be allowed to play active role in the classroom. And you see, learning should be discovery based. So give projects, give certain things where child will be exploring. So what we call this is discovery based. So cooperative learning, peer learning, development can be enhanced, intelligence can be developed, knowledge can be constructed, and learning should be discovery based. What we say exploration. These are the impact of Vygotsky cognitive theory. So in this theory, we will be having a chance of getting question like what is zone of proximal development, why zone of proximal development, and what is scaffolding, and you may get different types of speech. What is private speech for 1 mark? What is silent speech, right? Besides that, what are the classroom applications of cognitive theory of Vygotsky, right? Hope that this session will be useful for you. Signing off, Dr. Kola. Bye bye.